All right, now it is time for the top five segment, man. And this one is top five timeless Hollywood classics. And let me
Yes.
preface, classics as far as me to him are completely different. I consider classics movies that came before I was born. But to be fair, the movies that you put on there came before you were born. So, I mean, they're classics to you. So we're good.
No, that's facts. That's facts. I mean, I'm just I don't know how any other way to say it. That is the truth. And I would like to do just quickly a couple of honorable mentions though, because neither one of us put these on our list, and I can't believe that we didn't. One, The Breakfast Club, a timeless classic that of course
Yes.
is like,
Wow.
how can you not have, and I feel like every single young woman's right to adulthood, Dirty Dancing. I feel like those are
Man.
two timeless classics that everybody should see, that everybody probably has seen, that we ignored on the list. Sorry about that, but just honorable mentions. There they are. They're good. Don't come at us, okay? Don't come at us. That's all I'm
I
saying.
know. An idea for next week is current day. This is me pitching, guys. I think an idea for next week is um, it would be very interesting to see. I guess let's say the last 10, the last 5 years to keep it relevant. The last 5 years, what will turn into timeless classic films? We'll figure out
Oh,
a way to
oh.
title it. But like, because a lot of films are going to get, thrown in the back seat. Nobody's going to think about them, but there's going to be those movies that are like, for my generation, that I want to pass down to my children. So that'll be a hard one.
Top five modern films destined to become classics.
There we go.
There you go. That'll
Yeah.
be next week. Fuck, that'll be
Sheesh.
a tough one for me, man.
I know. You're welcome.
Well,
You're
one
welcome.
is already though. Fuck it, we'll talk about it next week. Let's just dive
Yes,
into ours right
exactly.
now. Classic, classic. Let's go. Number
All
five.
right. Number five for me, which it's timely because the sequel is about to come out this year,
Hell
but I'm
yeah.
talking about Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Don't say it.
Yes,
Don't say it a
that one.
third time. Don't do it.
But
Or
yeah,
do it
I
because I
love
want
this
Keaton.
film. Yeah, right. Exactly. And our next guest. But man, I love this film. I do. The reason I put it on my list is because I feel like it's so different from anything else that has ever come out before. It's in its own genre. It's in its own lane. But I mean, so is Tim Burton, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Oh,
he's an out there guy, an out there individual. And I mean, I don't think you could have anyone else play the role as perfectly as Michael Keaton did. But yeah, I love this movie. I grew up with it. It's one that I had on VHS. But I think, as generations go on, people will know Beetlejuice.
oh,
And
without doubt.
hopefully the sequel can live up to the original. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. But yeah, number five for me, Beetlejuice.
I think it will. I think Burton is just another example of perfect casting. I mean, when you do Jenna Ortega as Winona Ryder's daughter, it's fucking spot on. I think the new members of the cast merging with those classic old are going to be. I'm so excited about this film and Michael Keaton's resurgence. We've talked about it. I just love that he's everywhere again. Spot on. Can't wait for that one. My number five, because you guys know we're filmmakers, we're in the industry, and I love any film. We're huge fans of The Last Tycoon and stuff like that. I love any film that highlights the film industry. My number five is Sunset Boulevard, Billy Wilder's stark look at the film industry. It's not pretty, but it is probably. Entourage was the TV go to. This is the film go to of what it's really like, and it's not a great picture. It's a great film, but it doesn't paint a pretty picture of Hollywood. It kind of shows the dark side, the shady side. Great film with William Holden and Gloria Swanson and Nancy Olson and just so many amazing actors in it. And of course, Billy Wilder, one of the most all-time great film directors of all time. If you want to know what Hollywood's really all about, watch this film, Sunset Boulevard, and you're going to go, fuck. It's a really good, but Billy Wilder, when he goes from Some Like It Hot, Sunset Boulevard, to think that the same man did these two films is like, wait, what? But that's why he's a classic. Both of those films are classic, and it's because of Billy Wilder. Just a fucking genius, man. So check out my number five, Sunset Boulevard.
Yes, I'll have to say, don't clear off this particular rundown right after we do the show because there's no, just two. Because I haven't seen Sunset Boulevard or Citizen Kane. So I'll have to put those on my list. I know,
What?
I know.
What?
Listen, man.
Citizen Kane
Listen.
is on Max right now. I saw it the other day. It's
Yeah.
on Max. No excuse.
All I know is Rosebud. That's all I know.
And then,
Uh,
then I'm going to tell you right now, if you watch, and I want to roll through this. I want to roll, but if you watch Citizen Kane, then watch Mank. It's about
mhm.
Mankiewicz, the guy that wrote it,
Yeah.
and all the
Yeah.
bullshit about what and how he didn't get credited, basically, and how they like
Yeah.
and the disaster. You got to watch that. It's a fucking brilliant film and gives you a really good look at how fucking Citizen Kane came together. Got to do it.
For sure.
Watch both.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it. I should have you create a list. I'll just share my Google document with with you with all my people and shit, so that you can throw some stuff on there.
For sure.
The next one, number 4 for me, classic, timeless. Nobody should ever remake this one. I mean, there's a few that fall into that category where you just can't. You can't do it. Number 4 for me goes to Back to the Future. I don't know if there were any time travel movies before Back to the Future, but they were nowhere as good as this one. Let's just be honest about it. I mean, just what they were able to do in that film, and to have such a mass audience appeal for this film, to where like everybody literally loves all three. I mean, of course, you have your opinions about the third one, whatever. But I mean, the first two are absolutely amazing. And I feel like are the timeless classics. Those are the ones that, you want to show your children and your lineage down the line, to where you're like, yes, this right here, this is what we wanted it to be. And then now us present day can go back and watch it and be like, yeah, that's not what 2003 looks like.
No, yeah.
That's
I mean,
not,
that's
yeah.
the fun part about it. The predictability of what they thought things were going to be and how it's not. So, yeah, that's the brilliant part about it. I'm also having a really hard time that your list of all-time classics are my kid movies, my 80s
You're
movies.
welcome.
Like when
Yep,
I was a
you're
kid
welcome.
and these were my all-time classics. All right, fine. It's fine. I was like 15 when Back to the Future came out. It's fine. It's fucking
Yeah.
fine.
A lot of these came out at least 10 years before I was born.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Like I
yeah,
said, I was
that's why.
15 when that one came
Yeah.
out. And I was only 19 when Beetlejuice came out, 18 when Beetlejuice came out, because I was
Yeah.
19 the
I think
following year for
that was like
Batman.
88.
Yeah,
Yeah.
88. So yeah, 18.
You're welcome.
Wow, I was not born for my number 4. Okay, it was out well before I was born. My number 4 I chose because it's a game changer. Walt Disney changed the way films would be made forever in the world of animation. I'm talking about Snow White. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. An all-time instant classic that made a boatload of money for the time back in the day. But what was significant about it is this man actually created a camera, a specific camera to pull off the animation in the way and the style of which now we're so used to, where it looks like it's moving and you see the moon in the background, and they're kind of like that was done, and those type animations were done because of this camera that Walt Disney and the team of Imagineers created to make Snow White. So it's hard to not put this on the list as a timeless classic of, this woman and Prince Charming and the evil witch and all that. But it's as a filmmaker, what it did to revolutionize. I mean, we get the Pixar and all the 3D and computer generated animation, but none of that exists if Walt Disney doesn't make Snow White. That's all. I mean, think about that. It's where it came from is that. So the feature-length animated film that rocked the world and changed Hollywood as far as filmmaking went at the time, and it's just brilliant. My number 4, Snow White. And if you haven't seen it, what? Don't watch the
Yeah.
modern version, like updated on DVD and all that shit. Find the original Disney Snow White. Find it where it's still grainy and the color ain't. Just watch the original. Fucking badass film. It's a badass film.
So good, man. So good. Yeah. Absolute classic. Absolute classic. Number 3 for me, I'm super happy that I was able to go back and watch it in the theaters, because
Sure.
some Regal, AMC, Cinemark, all them, they do throwbacks to be able to do that. And I loved it, man. I mean, the old school film, like, it was beautiful. But number 3 for me is Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's so good, so good.
Another one of my beloved
Um,
80s.
yeah, that's right, that's right. I really feel like Ghostbusters is kind of like Beetlejuice created its own lane of genre to where you could mix between horror, ghost story, and comedy,
Oh,
and
without
that
doubt.
was never really done before. And there's a freaking amazing documentary episode on Netflix. Something about like the stories we grew up with or the movies we grew up with or something like that, to where the first Ghostbusters, like they literally didn't know they had Bill Murray until like the first day of shooting.
Right.
Like this is how like off the grid this man is, like, and doesn't really give people direct answers. But we love him for it. But yeah, Ghostbusters is one of those that I watched relentlessly throughout my childhood growing up. I always remember going to the library and checking out DVDs, and Ghostbusters. I checked that one out quite a few times. So yeah, number 3 for me, Ghostbusters.
Yeah, no, I mean, I still love Ghostbusters, and I
Oh
love
yeah,
that now the Sun is redoing them and making them a continuation and getting it right. Because they had a
yeah.
couple in between there that just like, let's forget those ever happened. And now it's getting back to, all right, now we've got the original. Now we're doing it. Now we're rocking and rolling. So I'm excited for that. My number 3, I was going to go, have so much to say about it. But now that you haven't seen it, I'm not going to say too much about it. Other than the fact that Citizen Kane is the film that marked Orson Welles as the maybe the most brilliant filmmaker of all time. Maybe he got that title, and he never quite lived up past Citizen Kane. Never was able to quite meet the expectations and meet and exceed past Citizen Kane to that level. But it is an absolutely brilliant film. It's about the death of a well-renowned, rich publisher, and I don't want to go too much into details because I don't want to spoil it for you. But yeah, he's and then there's the scramble. It's kind of like the Rockefellers. This guy has this like aura, and he's real famous, and he's rich, and he's like kind of a thing. But he dies, and he utters Rosebud. It's the last thing that comes out of his mouth. And so then everybody is scrambling to figure out what the fuck did he mean by Rosebud? What was that?
Right.
Was that some sort of a code? Is he revealing some sort of a secret that nobody knew about? Is he going to take down Hollywood? Is he going to take down the publishing world? Is he going to so it's kind of like this grandiose look at rich folks and society folks back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like this cool mystery, and do you ever figure it out? Do you not figure it out? Is Rosebud ever revealed? I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's a brilliant film. Again, I put it on my list because it's one of those filmmaker films that if you want to be a filmmaker, you should watch this film. Plain and simple. You got to watch this film if you want to be a filmmaker. Citizen Kane. Orson Welles.
There it is. There it is.
And
We
then
got
watch
to
Mank.
see, yeah, right. We got to see, like, I believe it was the camera that it was shot on, and like a couple of different things at the
Yes.
Academy Museum out in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't checked out that, be sure to do so. And I don't think I told you, I ordered that Oscar shirt. I had to do it.
Yeah, no, you had to do it.
It's if you are a filmmaker, do not subscribe to the Academy Museum's newsletter because they put out some really awesome filmmaker merch.
For
That
sure.
you just sometimes have to bend your knee and just get it.
And the coolest
Um,
thing, aside from the camera that I love, they have the original script with
mhm.
Mankiewicz's notes, all of the notes
Yeah,
from Wells and Mankiewicz all over it. It looked so badass, like how they have it preserved. But you can see, like, Orson just like Mankiewicz is thinking one thing, Orson's just thinking another thing, and it's just like it's so amazing to see the history of it all. So, yeah.
oh
Whew.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Number 2 for me, I think, is the second greatest mobster movie of all time,
Mm.
behind The Godfather, and I'm talking about Goodfellas. Oh, you think I'm funny? What kind of funny do you think I am? Joe Pesci is freaking amazing, and this film is honestly the one that put him on the map, in my opinion.
Yes.
I mean, just the dynamic and the story of Henry Hill, R.I.P. Ray Liotta. It was just such an amazing thing, and then I just love narration throughout film, especially with something like this. And at the very beginning, all my life, I grew up always knowing I wanted to be a gangster. Like, oh,
Yeah,
it was
dude.
just,
It's
it's
like one of
kind
the
of like,
greatest lines, right? Like
And
I
it's
mean,
kind of like for me, The Outsiders, the beginning of The Outsiders, where it's like stepping out of that dark movie house. All I was thinking about the actor's name and the my ride home. Like the narration in films, I feel like is so beautifully done. But yeah, Goodfellas, it's such an epic storytelling of love, loss, betrayal, like all of these things, and it's so well done. Thank you, Marty. You did amazing. But yeah, it's one of those that's a timeless classic that I feel like will live on forever. So number two for me, Goodfellas.
oh, without doubt, without doubt, phenomenal film. The great Ray Liotta, just like right, like just I don't even know, bro. I don't even know. So good, so good. All right, my number two. You hear us talk about it all the time. I reference it all the time, and I want to reference the man that I'm referencing all the time, Boris Kaufman. He is the cinematographer on my number two, 12 Angry Men. And I reference it all the time because, in correlation with the great Sidney Lumet, another all-time world famous director, right? One considered one of the best of all time. Boris and Sidney create probably the greatest camera move that you never see. It's in 12 Angry Men about a jury trying to come to a decision, and they're all in disagreements, and they're trapped in a room. It's beat down hot. Everybody's sweating. Everybody's miserable. Everybody's getting mad. And it starts off where it's all kind of cool. And then the heat and the anger and the not being able to come to a decision, and vote after vote after vote, they can't come to a unanimous decision. And the way Sidney and Boris make you feel the pressure in the room. They start wide and high, and they slowly close, and they slowly tighten, and you're not even aware as you're watching the film that it's happening, but you feel how tense it is. You feel the pressure of having to get this verdict in. You got to get it. And it's because of their brilliant direction and their brilliant camera work that makes that film work. And then, of course, obviously the cast. I mean, Henry Fonda and just so many freaking phenomenal people in that cast. But I put it on my list because it's one of my all-time favorite filmmaker films again that makes it a classic. And that camera move has been utilized over and over and over in numerous movies. It's almost exactly duplicated in the newer version of 3:10 to Yuma. Almost exact. And it's used in our film. We use it in our film. Yeah, that deserves some fireworks right there. It's in our film, baby. So I just wanted to put it on the list. Number two for me, 12 Angry Men. First of all, it's a phenomenal film. It's very emotional. It's very well written, very well directed, all that kind of stuff. But watch it again. If you're a wannabe filmmaker, watch this film. Pay attention to how it's made because it's fucking phenomenal. It's a classic.
Completely agree, man. Completely agree. I remember watching it my sophomore year in high school, and I mean, ever since then, I was like hooked. It was so
Yeah.
freaking good. Number one for both of us goes to Casablanca. I feel like one of the
Duh.
best films of all time. Humphrey Bogart absolutely kills it. If you look back here, or Boulevard of Broken Dreams, he's in that picture.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Ingrid Bergman, maybe your distant relative, who knows?
I'm not. It's one N. One N.
Damn.
I
But
know.
you
I
never
know.
know.
I
You never
wish. I wish it was great Auntie Ingrid. I wish it was, but it's not.
Right.
Right?
But I mean, I just feel like this is the classic love story of, the wanting someone so bad, but then in your heart knowing you can't have them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful thing. I actually just went back and watched it like a month ago, because it's so good. And I mean, this is what I'm talking about, and this is what we talk about all the time. Warner Brothers is such a historic freaking studio
Yeah.
that is getting thrown down the garbage right
Yeah.
now because of Zaslav. But I mean, Casablanca, it's a timeless classic that I feel like, everybody can relate to.
And,
And I mean, I love that song that they play too. It's
oh,
so good.
yeah. And it's one of those odd things where it's a love story set during a war. Like it's
During
a
a war, yep.
wartime movie, the World War II, but it's a love story surrounded about the whole plot line is around Nazis and World
Yep.
War II Germany and France. And it's odd that it's a love story, but it's the one that got away because the
Yeah.
moral dilemma that he's struggling with is, does he help his former lover and her new husband get away
Yeah.
from the Nazis? And this is the one that got away from him, but it's the love of his life. And, and it's so many great lines, so many great iconic lines in that film. And like you said, the songs that came out of that film, and just everything, the direction, the acting, the camera work, the score, just everything about it. And I'm sure when it was pitched, people were like, huh? Are you sure? We want a love story in the war? We don't want to take Nazis on. But it fucking works. I don't think it works without Bogart and Bergman. I don't think it does. But, man, what a fucking film. Yeah, it deserves to be the all-time classic at the top of the list, because, come on, man. Casablanca.
I mean, the freaking most notable line, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday and for the rest of your life. Oh,
right?
Like
right? Come on,
so
you know the other
freaking,
one, right? You know the other one.
Which one?
Come on. It's got something to do with lips.
I don't remember.
All right, yeah. All right, so that's the tease, guys. Tell me the other line that you think I'm talking about. Comment in the section below. Put it out there. Let's see who knows it. Let's see who gets it. And if you don't, watch the film. You got to watch the film. That's what we're trying to do. Get you to watch all these amazing classic films if you haven't seen them. So, what a list, man. That was so good.
It's so good. So good. And of course, we can't name everything. So we want to know, what is your timeless Hollywood classic? Please be sure to comment below in the YouTube comment section, or add us on X or Threads. We love the fan interaction. So please be sure to let us know what was your favorite film that came out before your time. I think it's so good, man.
Yes.
I think it's so good.
That's what we're defining as classic, a film that came out before your time.
Exactly.